Hello and welcome to Champion Your Culture, the podcast where we dive deep into the heart of leadership and organizational culture. I'm Ryan McCarty.
And I'm George Rogers. Together, we're here to guide you on a journey of personal and professional growth. Every week, we bring you insights, stories, and strategies to help you and your company thrive in today's dynamic world.
So whether you're leading a team, running a business, or just eager to make a positive impact, you are in the right place. Let's jump right into today's show and champion a culture of purpose and passion. Welcome to Champion Your Culture. Well, we're really excited because it's another week on
Champion Your Culture. Welcome, my friend. Welcome.
It's like we've been doing this for a while.
For a while, just for a little bit, man. Just for a little bit. I'm excited about being here. Somewhat excited. It's kind of like I'm excited because I get to see you and be with you.
Well, you were in Florida, though.
But I just came back from Florida 24 hours ago. So it's a little
Tampa area?
Tampa. Yeah, it was
love
beautiful.
That area.
Clear water, went over to St. Petersburg. Just kind of traveled around a little bit in that little circle area and enjoyed the nice 65, 60.
I'll take it, yo. Indiana's
sunshine.
not been so great lately.
No rain, so it wasn't. We've been doing a lot of rain.
Did you get sun?
Oh yeah, I took the shirt off and everything. You can't tell. I got a little bit of sun.
I would love that, yo. I need to get in the sun, get my feet in the sand. Matter of fact, after this podcast, I'm gonna go online and start looking because my anniversary's coming up.
Yeah, you gotta plan something.
Yeah, I think this year is 26 years.
Yeah, but it's not 26 yet. I remember last time.
That's
Charles
true.
Like, we ain't been married that long.
Don't brag.
You got to earn those days. You got to earn those months.
I don't even get the leap years or nothing.
You don't get no credit.
I don't
at
get
all,
no
bro.
credit for leap years.
You got to wait until the actual day for it to happen. So you 25 plus.
All right.
You about 25, 300 and
25 and a half. Like when I was a little kid, I'm
days or
5.5 years old. How come we don't do that now?
Yeah,
I'm 47 and a half.
And celebrate that.
Yeah.
You can celebrate.
We should have a half a year birthday.
Well, then, let's talk about this. We have half a year reviews, anniversaries. You got to celebrate it all. You can't just celebrate one thing. You got to celebrate all things.
Yeah. Every month.
Like today is my birthday. I'm, 41 and how many ever days? I should ask Siri or something.
Every day is your birthday.
Every day is a birthday. That's right.
That's awesome.
That's right. How was your last week? You were in DC.
Yeah.
Speaking. Shout out to
Teradata.
the group.
Yeah.
Teradata.
Great group of leaders.
Thank y'all for having and returning my friend Ryan safely.
They were ready to return me now.
Yeah.
No, it was great. Made some new friends. Made really great connections with a group of people that care about the world and care about their work. One of the thing that I kept coming to is my hope for the Teradata leadership, and that was this. I said it this way: my hope for you is that from this day forward, you'll always see your work as more than a job or a career, but as a calling to bring your soul to work. So that you, your team, and the business can be profitable and have a sense of purpose.
Yeah. And we're having some technical difficulties with Sean, so stick with us. I believe you can still hear the audio, but there is some issues with the video, and we'll do that. Try to be working on that. If it doesn't work out, we'll keep on going, man.
I guess we'll just keep on going.
We'll work it if we work it.
Yeah.
On that. And so, have that trip. We've got a lot more coming up, and we're excited about as well, with some conferences on the upfronts, as well as excitement with our 2-day certification. So shout out to that. Shout out for those who are going to be joining us on that.
February 27th and 28th.
Yep. Got some slots open. So if you're interested, and I want to do a call to action. This is a cheap promo and a plug to this. And it's not necessarily cheap. It's very expensive because we are powered by Culture Good.
Right.
But we do want to encourage those. We're looking for anybody that's champion people.
Yeah.
Champion the culture within the workplace or have a desire to do so. This 2-day training certification is really for those who are saying, listen, I want to bring some fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
I want to enhance our engagement and take it to another level. This 2-day certification is going to do all those things to empower you to equip you to really do that thing, to really
Yeah.
take it to a notch where it's beyond just a workbook and we're talking with you. We're actually putting our hands to the plow with you so that you
Yeah.
can go back with a playbook
Yeah.
that you'll be able to work.
Yeah. I really love this idea because it's one thing to have an outside group like ourselves to come in and consult you on your culture and work with your teams. And we do that. That could potentially be a 2 year engagement, but the 2 day engagement really creates an opportunity for those internal change makers to come in and have a profound impact on the business in a way that, you know, at the end of the day, it's easy to lose track of your culture when you have so many other things going on in the business. And it's really important to have a strategy that people can collectively follow and that they know as a group that we are moving in this direction together.
Yeah.
And when we don't have that within the organization, it leads to a lot of confusion, a lot of uncertainty in terms of what are we doing here? And why are we doing it? You know what I'm saying? Like, and so those 2 days really, like you mentioned, are really, it's a great opportunity for change agents, those that do want to champion people and want to see their work as more than a job or a career, right? But they feel that sense of calling and they feel that sense of coming together around something that everyone can collectively work toward together.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about how we're better together. People use that as a phrase a lot, you know, but it's true. And I think we're also better together as culture champions when we have other like-minded kind of leaders within a network that we're connected with. And we have some exciting announcements around that coming up this year. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff happening. And, you know, hey, at the end of the day, we're here to help. And so if we can be of a help to your business and your organization in terms of growing and developing the kind of culture that you love and that you want to see more of, that's what we want. You know, it's a question I'd ask for you, George, and that is, what do you want to see more of in yourself, your team, and your business this year?
Right.
And whatever that is that you want to see more of, that's your goal.
Right.
That's your objective, whether it's self-leadership for you, team leadership for your team, overall enterprise leadership for the business. What do you want to see more of? You know, do you want to see more of a culture of trust? We're talking about that today. Do you want to see more work-life balance or harmony within your life, within your team? So what is it that you're really hoping to see more of?
Yeah.
And then getting from the hope state to the doing, because there's a difference between dreamers and doers.
Right.
Doers are dreamers, but not all dreamers are doers. You know what I'm saying? It's like that leadership management thing.
Yeah.
All leaders manage, but not all managers lead. All dreamers aren't necessarily doers. And it's one thing to have a vision of what you want for the future. It's another to have a plan to get there. And we would say that a leader without a plan is just simply someone taking a walk.
Right.
You know, but once you have a plan and a direction, you know, that's what we're hoping to do. Is our hope is that we find other organizations that care about their community, care about people, and are willing to invest in themselves and also in their community to see that collectively their entire organization has more than just a stated list of values on a wall in the break room somewhere that no one's paying any attention to. It's become wallpaper.
Yeah.
But like really people are in it together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's important, especially as you continue. As we see, a lot of companies are really trying to make things better.
Yeah.
They're really encouraged by, hey, what's next? We've done everything we can. It reminds me of when we were talking about perfect-ish culture. It reminds me of trying to get everything you can out of something.
Yeah.
Back in the days,
right.
You got to the end of the ketchup bottle. What did your mama do?
Add some water.
Add a little bit of water and shake it. And so, I mean, that's what a lot of organizations are doing. They're trying to get everything they can out of this engagement.
Yeah.
And what we're saying is, like, engagement is great. But what happens when your employees really, what we have here on our wall, bring their soul to work and they are fulfilled. It's beyond engagement. When people are fulfilled, Ryan, like they're living their life at the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're thriving on all levels. No, is it perfect? Is their life perfect? No. Life happens, death happens, uncertainty sure is to follow, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But when you have a place where you're excited about what you're doing and why you're doing, and you have that sense of fulfillment that I have a purpose that's beyond doing some assembly line job, or that's just beyond doing this HR paperwork or recruiting or whatever it is that you're doing. If you're a CEO, financial, whatever it is, it's beyond just what you're doing on a day to day.
Yeah.
It's that outcome of what you're doing that really fulfills us. I get to be a part of something greater than just paperwork.
Yeah.
We're changing lives. We're making an impact in our community.
That outcome is your why.
Yeah.
It's that outcome. And I think when you're speaking to this, that is that idea. What do you want to see more of in yourself, your team, your organization this year? And when you think about the idea of what those outcomes are, ultimately we want to see team members take ownership or have what we would call ownership mentality, right? Which we've talked about this before, that if you want me to think like an owner, pay me like one.
Yeah.
But what you can own is you can own your work. Mm-hmm. You can own your contribution. You can own a part of your team's impact and performance. You can own the culture, mm-hmm. parts of it. Not one person owns the culture, as there is not one leader that determines what the culture is.
Right.
So culture is not a byproduct of just one great HR person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think sometimes we think about it that way, but culture is really, and having a healthy culture is the outcome of having healthy people and having healthy leadership. And we think about this idea that we're talking about today, and that is, how do we build a culture of trust in the midst of change, in the midst of, as things are starting to evolve and things are changing, how do we, through that transition of change, how do we really have a culture of trust where people are down for it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And down for each other too.
Yeah.
Like willing to willing to trust each other. And this isn't like a program thing. Trust is very relational, right? Like it's not transactional. It's not do this for me and I'll do this for you. And then, that'll show me that you trust. No, it's not just, I need this from you as a leader, but I need this for you. And I want this for you.
Yeah. And that's important. Like to be able to communicate that simple concept of, employees have this mentality that they always want something from us. They don't do anything for us.
Yeah.
Right. And so how do you foster that? And I want to thank everybody again for joining us here today on Championing Your Culture, the podcast, as we're talking about building this culture of trust, Ryan, and how we navigate through what we know is ever changing. There's changes always. It's going to happen, right? The workplace, how do you build that workplace bond during the time of change? Seasons change. We got 4 seasons in a year, right? How do we go from hot to the fall weather where it seems like everything is beautiful, then it dies,
right?
And then we get freezing cold, and we got heaters on, and we're trying to figure out as employees here who's hot and who's cold, and what's the mutual temperature, right? If you're cold and I'm hot, how do we both bond together mutually? We communicate that, right? We say, hey, this is. That's a good temperature, or let's set the temperature somewhere that meets both, versus somebody where employees say the leader's always setting that temperature, and they're always wanting something from
everybody.
They're
has
always
to catch up,
putting us in this atmosphere, and it's always what's best for business. What about what's best for employees, or what's best for people? Right?
Yeah, I think if you prioritize people, then that affords people permission to prioritize profit.
Yeah.
But if they're not prioritized, then that impacts performance, that impacts engagement, it impacts effectiveness. If people don't feel prioritized, what it tells me is that you're not as valued as these other things. If people are part of a competing priority list, and people always end up at the bottom of that list, you can preach all day long how much you care
Right.
about people, but at the end of the day, like, it's again, like, culture is how most people feel, believe, and behave most of the time. But I can see what you value by by observable behavior.
Hmm.
I can't see what you value based on how you feel or based on how you believe. That's internal to you. But how your internal lives out externally, I can watch that. I can watch your behavior and say, George is connected. He's being effective in his work. He's engaged with not just the leader, but with other people on the team. You know what I'm saying? And I can watch that.
Yeah.
I can see that. Question today is, can we see trust?
Hmm.
What does that look like? Right? Like the what are the what's the indicators that we have a culture of trust?
Yeah.
We know what distrust looks like. People talking behind each other's back, micromanagement
Right.
from leadership. There's a lot of symptoms of distrust that we see,
Yeah.
observably see within the
Right.
workplace. Eventually, distrust leads to probably the most toxic type of culture that you could work in.
Hmm.
Because if people aren't trusting each other, then how are we, in terms of leadership and working together, how do we do that when there isn't trust? Because there really isn't any type of relationship without trust. So
Yeah.
it comes down to more of a transactional type culture,
Right.
where it's always an exchange. Do this for me, I'll do this for you.
Yeah. Let's get into some of these things, because I want to dive into what it takes. How can we build this culture of trust during this time? And one of the first things that really comes to mind for both of us is the A word.
Yeah, accountability.
Accountability, the power of it and the importance of it, right? There's power behind accountability, but the importance of actually using that tool. We always talk, and I always say this, is that there's a lot of things that are in the toolbox that are powerful, right?
Yeah.
If I was to go to my garage and open up toolbox, there's stuff that I ain't even touched that's rusting because I ain't right. But a lot of the things that we discuss, Ryan, I feel like are tools that they can be effective if properly used, right? It's the difference between using a hammer for a nail versus trying to use a hammer with a screw, right? There's something different there. You got to have a different form of a tool or that's used. Like, accountability can be used and effective within the workplace, especially when dealing with fostering this trust level, having accountability, but it's got to be used properly. It can't be used one way and not use the same for something else. And or for an employee, to a leadership standpoint, George is holding Ryan accountable, but George doesn't hold Joe accountable.
Or George doesn't hold himself accountable.
There we go.
That's really where distrust, what breeds distrust, is where you have a leader who is attempting to create a culture of accountability and yet holds themselves not accountable.
Yeah.
So for me, trust has everything to do with accountability, because accountability is how I know you have integrity.
Right.
Integrity is something that matters to me. If I'm going to trust you, I have to know that you have integrity. This chair, I'm pretty sure when I sit down in this chair, it's going to hold me up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't think about it.
But if the last 3 chairs I sat in, I mentioned this, if the last 3 chairs I sat in broke down on me, then I'm gonna sit down on this a little lighter. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. because I have PTLD, post-traumatic leadership disorder. You know what I'm saying? Like if I've trusted leaders in the past and I've had that trust broken, then that creates an entire myriad of realities for me and my experience at work that I have to deal with on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
Much like us trying to trust our video camera in the internet today.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem to want to work. But that idea of accountability and being able to have integrity, I think it was Stephen Covey that says accountability breeds responsibility. In other words, what he's saying is when I have accountability within the workplace, it breeds responsibility, the ability to respond in a way that that is individual to that person, I'm able to respond with trust when there's accountability.
Yeah.
So accountability breeds responsibility, not just responsibility of what I need to do to be accountable, but how I respond to other leaders' integrity. If you have integrity, then the question of trust never really comes up much, does it?
Yeah.
If there's consistent, clear communication, then trust doesn't seem to be as much of an issue. But where it does come in as an issue, even within leadership that's been trustworthy, is when there's transition, when there's mergers and acquisitions, when there's layoffs, when there's um, when when there's change taking place, when there's a new ownership, right? When a new CEO is brought in,
Yeah.
all of that breeds a level of uncertainty and anxiety
Mm-hmm.
in that sense. What's going to happen to my job?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
What's next for me if I see this happening, or if this is a change that's going on, and we don't have accountability within the workplace, then really what it leads to is distrust. It leads to skepticism. It leads to a lack of my ability to respond to you as a leader. I don't have the responsibility
Mm-hmm.
unless you have accountability.
Right.
And accountability is not a one-way street where leaders hold people accountable.
Yeah.
It starts by leaders holding themselves accountable.
Yeah.
That's where a culture of trust begins and ends,
Yeah.
with leaders holding themselves accountable. But if what you say in front of people is different than what you do behind the scenes, then yeah, I mean, there's no way to build a culture of trust
Yeah.
when we're not being trustworthy.
Yeah, it's that, and it's also embracing that transparency of it too. When you speak of their responsibility, the response, and my ability, that merge of those words there. We always like to add words and break down words and things of that
Yeah.
nature. But my response to your ability to be someone of integrity
Yeah.
through what you say we desire, right? So we're saying we want to foster a culture of trust, right? I'm going to hold you accountable to that.
Right.
That fostering trust means that it's not just you demanding from George, the employee, or from somebody else. It's saying, hey, I'm going to show you what it looks like, and I'm going to be an example of this. It's not, we're not just doing this as a program. This is who I am.
Yeah.
Right? It's not what I do. This is just who I am. I am a person of accountability. And so you're aligning yourself and really taking charge.
Yeah.
That I promise, it goes back to all our 5 promises, right? How they align to those things. I promise that I'm going to be a person of accountability.
Yeah.
I'm going to be able to take the same constructive feed forward,
Yep.
right, that I give to you.
Yeah.
Whether it's constructive criticism, if that's the word y'all want to use. We have different words. So I'm like, I want to make sure that people understand what I'm saying. When I say feed forward, most people say feedback, but I want to give you constructive feed forward as we're moving forward.
Yeah.
This is how things align. This is what I need from you. This is what I expect from you. This is what I want or desire. Vice versa, right? What do you need from me? What do you expect from me? What do you want?
Yeah.
Like, what can I give you?
Yeah.
Do I have the needs? Do I have the means to give you what you're expecting? And if not, let's be transparent on that. And so as we talk about embracing this accountability in a time of change, I think about transparency, right? Coming through those things and really encouraging this openness and honesty through this work life, right? Through communication. So I think about that transparency, and then I'm saying, hey, let's be open, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Through communication,
right?
Like, let's communicate these things, because if something doesn't align, I want to be accountable to say, hey, just like we do here in Round Room and the rest of our building, when I don't feel like you care, right? And that's a part of our promise. I want to make sure you're accountable to that, and or understand your perspective, or give me your perspective. If I don't deserve it and I need to make sure I go back to my little thing, just make sure there's some communication. That, hey, I felt this way from my perspective. I know your heart.
Yeah.
Right. So one thing that could be is, man, is Ryan going through something? Or is he having a bad day?
Yeah.
Or did he not realize how that could have looked from somebody else's point of view.
Yeah.
And oftentimes that's the case. We say or do something, not realizing, hey, from that perspective, it looks a little bit different. But with accountability and trust, I don't take offense.
Yeah.
Right. I receive that and say, with that information and sharing that information, it flows freely through this conversation. It flows freely through us, and everyone is aware, right, of the responsibilities that we have through this accountability. I think it makes it a little bit easier in that process as well when we say, hey, there's accountability, but there's transparency, open and honesty, and with that accountability, I don't take to heart. I don't get down now. I may take it to heart if it's not me.
Yeah.
And I made somebody feel a certain way that I don't desire to feel.
Yeah.
Then that's me receiving that accountability the right way that says, man, I'm glad you brought this.
Yeah. I need to watch. I need to watch my attitude.
I need to watch how I present myself or say things.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't mean it, because you can hurt somebody and not purposely hurt somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. I think, I think that's one of the things that we can go into work optimistically or, as a pessimist too. And I think like being able to maybe not at a level where I completely trust every boss I've had or every leader necessarily I have right now.
Right.
But what I can do is I can trust that you're a good person.
Right.
I can trust that you are making the best decisions that to make. Not perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I think there's that level of also accountability to be able to say, back to what we were talking about earlier, is there is no perfect culture. It's perfect-ish.
Yeah.
So I'm trusting a perfect-ish person.
Yeah.
Not trusting a perfect person.
I'm that ish.
Yeah. Got that ish. I got a ish. I got a scratch.
Yeah.
Like that's what it comes down to. And to your point about communication, the second thing around building a culture of trust has everything to do with the fact that business right now is in turmoil in terms of change. Not turmoil in terms of bad, but in terms of there's all kinds of shifts going on right now. If you're in tech, there's a lot of layoffs in tech right now. And there's a lot of progression toward the use of more AI and robotics, and the realities around all of that creates a lot of change. But when there's not clarity around some of the decisions that are being made, you can see how that can foster anxiety.
Right.
And a distrust. I love this idea that clarity is an antidote to anxiety. That clarity is an antidote to anxiety. That typically what I'm anxious about or what I'm fearful of, 85% of the time, it's all just in my head. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so if I had clarity around change, if I knew that this is the direction that we were going and this is what I should expect throughout this change. We talk about the ADKAR process that's taught through ProSight, the ADKAR. So awareness, knowledge, or awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and then reinforcement. It's a process you take people through change, because if you don't have clarity around change, that's one of the top 2 right now reasons that people feel anxiety at work.
Yeah.
Is understaffing and lack of clarity around change.
Yeah.
Those 2 things right there.
Yeah. And I just got a phone call, last week with a good friend.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good change, growth, and then there's some uncertain change, and it's all about being clear, having that clarity, and really embracing that. And so that's important. The other thing, we're moving into that, is when you have that accountability and clarity, that really creates that environment where individuals feel comfortable taking ownership.
Yeah.
Right. Of their actions, not necessarily ownership of the word, but just ownership of action. When there's accountability and open feedback and communication, and there's clarity and change, right? As we're talking about, that allows people to be comfortable saying, I'm not afraid to take ownership of what I can control.
Yeah.
Right. There's a difference between saying, hey, I want to take ownership of what I can control and make the most out of it, versus I'm going to take ownership and just check the boxes. right?
or
Do
or
what's necessary
yeah,
and
to your
needed,
point,
but
like
I'm willing to
you
be
don't.
held accountable for this performance that I'm gonna put forward.
But if you can't trust the leadership, you don't want to take ownership
Yeah,
over that stuff, because then you stick
exactly.
your neck out and your head gets chopped off.
Right. Which is why you need clarity. Which is why
Right.
you need clarity, right?
Yeah,
So
like
talking about the importance of that transparent communication and addressing the need to be clear in communication during those organizational changes.
mhm.
That's something that's number two that that we focus on when it talks about how to foster this culture of trust. Number one, accountability.
Mhm.
Number two, we're saying clarity and change.
And I would say with clarity and change in the open dialogue, consistency.
Ooh,
So when you think about integrity, so this chair,
yeah,
if this chair fell apart every once in a while when I sat down,
yeah,
I wouldn't trust it.
yeah,
I want to see consistency,
yeah,
and what it comes down to in terms of a culture of trust and building that up through change and transition, which a lot of our organizations and industries are going through right now. It's going to come down to is there clarity around change, and is it consistent?
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, is it just like, okay, we talked about the change 3 months ago. Why do we need to talk about it now?
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? I would say as change is happening, if you're not tired of talking about it, you've not talked about it enough.
yeah,
Because the moment you're tired of talking about it is probably the moment, very close to that moment, that people are actually catching on.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times as leaders, we know why change is happening. We know why we're making these decisions or why the organization is. And we've been kind of mulling over this stuff for a couple months. And then we just like share it with people. These are the changes that are happening. This is what's coming down the pike. You need to be aware of this. And we stop at awareness.
yeah,
We just make people aware and then we leave them. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. That's true. I'm over here thinking, as you, especially when you're talking about the cheer, I'm like, man, is one of our cheers about to fall? But when you think about something that's not consistent,
Yeah.
it's a lack of trust that's the issue, right?
Yeah.
And I think about you and I. You and I are alike in a lot of ways. When I don't have clarity, my anxiety
Yeah.
goes through a different route. Clarity is the antidote for anxiety, right?
Yeah.
And so having the certainty to know and the clarity in leadership.
Yeah.
I am confident that my confidence is there. I don't have any anxiety with my leadership, right? But
Yeah.
if everybody cannot say what I'm saying, right, with
Yeah.
truth, right,
Right.
like my confidence in the change with leadership with you, now you got no worries.
Yeah.
Now we may have some rocky roads,
Yeah.
but I know one thing: we're going to be
We're gonna
creative.
talk about
We're
it.
going to be creative. We're going to communicate, and we're going to accomplish the ultimate goal. Right?
Open
Yeah,
dialogue.
it's going to work because
Yeah.
we're going to work it,
Yeah.
and there's no stopping until we finish.
Yeah.
How we need to get there. Now it may not look pretty, and that's the thing is that I was asked, man, if I was promised X, would I be willing for it, willing to live and go through? And I'm like, yeah, but understanding you're going to have to go through some things,
Yeah.
right? And so, being able to push through those things, those changes that happen
Yeah.
within the change, right? So
Yeah.
there's the change, and then it's all the things that happen before that huge change. Hey, we're going to change the way we work our hours,
Yeah.
right? We're going to change flex or hybrid,
Yeah.
or fully remote, right? Before that change, there's changes. There's small things that has to prepare to get
Yeah.
you to that place. But that effective communication,
Well, because uncertainty breeds anxiety.
yeah,
That's why clarity is something that is an antidote to anxiety. You know what I'm saying?
right,
But not having certainty, not knowing the why. When we talk about how we're communicating change, we need to talk about the why consistently. Why is this change happening? What is our hope through this change? What is our expectation for the difficulty? Because as change happens in an organization, that causes change to happen within teams, and that causes individuals to change.
yeah,
Like when we go through change, we
right,
change too.
yeah,
And so I think it's really important that we respect and honor people that were asking to go through change with us.
yeah. So we're saying change happens through us, not to us.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it becomes part of who we are and what we're doing. We change internally.
We do
more than
change,
anything.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, when we go through changes, to your point, like the change from flex to hybrid or
Yeah.
whatever it is, that changes my rhythm in life, because now I have to consider whether I'm going to be home with kids, blah, blah, blah. After 3 months before that, the company was saying, yeah, we're going to go full flex.
Yeah.
But now it's changing again. So I'm saying,
Yeah.
that's another thing. The one thing that can't be consistent is too much change. That's inconsistent. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Where it feels like it's like Baskin Robbins, you know, there's another flavor of the month.
Than Biddy Baskin Robbins. There's your song for the day.
There it is. How many flavors? You know, it's a flavor of the month. You have
because
to.
if you don't have consistency, there's a lack of stability.
Yeah.
And people don't like lack of stability.
Well, lack of stability is that integrity.
Yeah.
It speaks right back to this chair.
Yeah.
This chair being unstable means I am trusting something unstable.
Yeah.
That's why integrity matters. That's why consistency matters.
Yeah.
That's why having character as a leader matters. All of those things speak to that. Hand me my phone. I'm going to do this segment real quick.
And I want to say this before we do, because when we were talking about this earlier, and move the camera view on that, just checking out the leg. But when we were talking earlier, I wrote this. I was having this thought. I wrote some stuff down. I was thinking about the clarity and changes, and like what is something that really helped me out. And I thought about how we establish clear and measurable expectations. And it's a lot of things, again, that, we point to our 2-day certification. Make sure things are clear. And then this is how you measure how you go through. So establishing a clear and measurable expectations for each role within the organization is important. And also clearly defining goals, objectives, and performance indicators, and communicating to them to every team member, not just to the functioning ones. Is actually make sure everybody hears
each other's goals,
each other's goals, right? And so when expectations are well defined, individuals have a clear understanding of what is expected of them, for them, and then from them, right? So they understand what's expected of them, for them, and then from them, which empowers them to take that ownership of accountability, again, as we mentioned, as the number one, for their word, right? I'm not accountable. I can't be accountable for what you're supposed to do, but I can be accountable for what I am willing to do and able to do, right? Being willing and able are two different things. So I got to be
and
willing.
That's what helps.
If
able. You're on my team, I need to know that you're accountable. What are you accountable to?
Yeah.
Because I can't trust you when we're on a team. You ever been on a work project at school, like for college, and
nobody does anything but show up,
but and you're on that team. And
sorry for all those people that I showed up for projects when they were finished. I was a spokesperson. I just thought I was going to wait and speak of the project once it was done.
Right, but there's a lot. But if you have a team member that does that consistently, then so it's really important to have that, and have that clarity around roles for sure. Because if I don't know what my role is, I don't know what's expected of me. I mean, it plays hand in hand, Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
You ready for this break?
What is it?
This is going to be a Come On Man, powered by Culture of Good. All right. Shout out to everybody out there in hiring. This was on anti-work on Reddit. And so this is a response. Somebody applied for a job, and this is the response they got. You ready for this? All right. I want you to know whether this is acceptable or not. Thank you for your interest in our position. It's easy to just push an apply button and fling your information to as many opportunities as possible. But with that ease comes a less effective outcome, and that's not what we're looking for. What we are interested in is people who actually read the job description and know how they fit for this role. If you're a match, our post will resonate with you, and you'll naturally want to take the next steps. If you're just looking to get one more quick glance at your resume, congratulations. You've got another glance. We hope you'll be able to land a killer job that way. It just won't work for us. And they dogged him, yo.
You know what's so there's a little pro and cons. I love the transparency.
It's real.
It's open and honest. Like, hey, this is what we're looking for. Don't be that person.
Zero empathy.
But
zero humanity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on, man.
Come on, man. I'm going to throw that back up. Yeah, that one was like, I don't know. This I like the realness of
Yeah.
it.
It was like, oh, I like, but then,
But who's to say the person just and if you kept reading in the comments, the person didn't just throw their resume out. They were actually connected through LinkedIn
yeah.
as a good match for the job, right? So like it's like LinkedIn's turned into the eHarmony of work, man.
That's funny.
You know, and then people are reaching out to these LinkedIn connected jobs and then getting rejected, bro.
Swipe right.
Yeah, they're getting rejected. But
that would be interesting. I wonder if there's I have to look. I'm sure there is an HR tech company out there where you can kind of just swipe right or swipe left
for a job. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
See if you match. If not, any software tech companies out there that want to.
Well, it's not the swipe left or right, but that's essentially what LinkedIn, I guess, is doing.
Yeah.
You know, so then you might get 100 different connections. And of course you put your resume out to all of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
never know.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you know, it's there's some honesty with that message for sure.
Yeah. There was I mean, in a sense though, you're going to get what you're going to get. You know exactly what you're going to get. That's a reflection of somebody on the leadership team, right? Or at least an HR manager.
Yeah. Maybe once you get a job there,
they don't have an HR, and that's just
right. It just kind of hit me a little.
I ain't gonna lie, you should have seen some of the posts that I posted when I didn't have a clue.
Yeah,
you know, it was just downright straight to the point.
Yeah,
so
maybe that was you.
It could have been. I'm not denying or accepting my past.
It's plausible.
But plausible. There's a 40% chance.
So the first two, in terms of building a culture of trust, especially through change, is going to be the power of accountability. We talked about clarity and change and consistency around that. Open communication that's consistent, open dialogue, all of those things during times of transition are going to matter. The last is really one of our promises that I love, and that is, two of our promises: authentic connection.
Yeah.
And if you think about connection, it's easy to connect to people on a surface level, especially at work. But authentic connection goes a little further in terms of how do we practice empathy to the point of that message.
Yeah.
The lacking of empathy to someone that's probably trying to, you know, it's not like they're just sitting around not looking for a job. They're putting effort toward it, right? And maybe their effort doesn't hit the expectation or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of authentic connection and relational leadership, last week when I was in DC, I talked about shifting from transactional to relational leadership. And we talk about that quite a bit, not just wanting something from you, but wanting something for you. And having an authentic connection with leadership, having authentic connections with each other. When we have that, it fosters trust. It provides the ground where trust can grow out of, because we can be clear about changes that are going on. We can have accountability, but if we don't have authentic connection with people, it honestly, it leads to that skepticism and distrust.
Yeah.
And so to be able to build trust, we have to build relationship. It really, all business comes down to sales. All of it comes down to relationship.
Right. It's all about, and the relationship's all about communication, right? Being authentic in your communication, not faking. I think about this, Ryan, and most people know our story. And if you don't, you know, I met Ryan when I was 10, he was 16.
Yeah.
And one of the things, especially where I come from in Hallville, shout out to Naptown, in Hallville, Indiana. One of the things that was real, right, in our community, Black inner city area, was whenever somebody white would come in, not of color, however you want to address it. I'm not HR fully to the depth, so I'll just like to be blunt and honest, kind of like the job posting.
You can call me white, brother.
But whenever, or as my mom, my mom would be like, they ain't white, they peach. They got some color.
That's what my mother-in-law calls me, a Ritz cracker.
Yeah, a little peach.
Got a little color.
But whenever somebody
Yeah.
that didn't look like us,
Yeah.
right? That was our mindset. You don't look like us. Will come in, but will try to act like us. It was weird.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not being real. Like,
Yeah.
don't wear the clothes we wear, talk the way we talk, or try to eat what we eat when you leave this place.
And you ain't living it.
You ain't living it. Like
Yeah.
and it was crazy because as I got older and I was a part of that and even became a leader within the community, one of the things that really struck me is that kids genuinely, even to this day, if you're a mom or dad, your kid can see right through your fakeness, right? If you're not being authentic and you're not being your natural self, the kid will see that, right?
Absolutely.
Mom, what's wrong? Dad, what's wrong? I can see something. Nothing's wrong. That kid sees that. And if they can't see it, they feel it.
Yeah.
Because the energy that you've always given is not there. It's lacking.
Yeah.
Right. So when I think about that, being authentic, when I met you, Ryan, the reason why I connected with you is because not just because we came from a seminar. I didn't know your background. We didn't even talk about that, right? You wasn't ready for that to be open yet.
Yeah.
Right. But what was genuine was the connection that I feel like he understands, not just because he can relate.
Yeah.
Or refake, as we used to say. You could either relate or refake.
Yeah.
And act like you can relate. But there was a genuine connection because you were authentically who you were.
Yeah.
Now it was easy because you somewhat talk like you came from New York, and so you had that swag, as we would say today. You had that certain appearance,
swagger,
right? That was like, man, he don't look like me, but I feel like he knows my pain.
Yeah.
Right. And so we were genuinely connected through our authentic who we were. We both had been through some stuff.
That's it.
Right. We had that connection. And then even as we growed older, and even that 20-year gap where we were disconnected for 20 years until 2019, right? Until then, we still were able to pick right back up.
Yeah.
As if nothing ever happened. And through our conversations since then, we went through like literally identical life stories.
Yeah. It's
of family, marriage, life, work, careers, transitions, ups and downs, losses and founds, right?
Yeah.
And so when I think about this one, this authentic connection, it's so dear to my heart because I don't want to be everybody's friend. Like when I was younger, I wanted everybody to be my friend because I wanted to be accepted. Right. I felt like I was never accepted. I never met my birth dad, didn't have that acceptance. And so when it came from men, I wanted to be accepted.
Yeah.
Right. I lived for that acceptance. I would do anything to be in the spotlight and get appreciation, not just from adults, but from friends. I wanted to be a class clown at school. Right. I didn't know why, but the reason why is I just wanted to be accepted. I want to be a part of it. As I got older, man, I don't care.
Yeah. Right.
But at the same time, I'm gonna be who I am. I'm not seeking it. I'm not fishing for it.
Yeah.
I'm not begging or seeking it. But if a natural, authentic relationship forms, it's because I am who I am.
Yeah.
And he or she is who they are. And it resonates, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's through business.
Yeah.
Right. There's certain things that I'm attracted to. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. That's one thing that I want to be connected to something that's going to grow me financially. Right. It's the things that I want to have growth in.
Yeah.
I want to have growth in my physical, financial, mental, right.
Yeah.
Emotional.
Yeah.
What
do you want to see more of in yourself?
If it's not going to enhance that or make it better or add to it, and it's going to drain it, I don't want to be connected to it. And so being authentic, and Brene Brown's quote, and I'll read it, is connection is the energy that is created between people with the same feel, right? They feel, seen, heard, and value, and then discussing ways to foster a genuine relationship.
Yeah.
Right? Authenticity. And that's what I feel like. We feel seen, heard, right? And then valued is a huge thing. I want to make sure people understand, number one, they value me as a person.
Yeah.
The second thing I want them to value is the thing I can't get back, and that's time.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then family. Those are my top three things I want people to value. My time, and my family. Value those things, because everything that I do, every decision I make, the right ones at least, have those three in common. Now, I'm perfect-ish, so I'm gonna fail and make mistakes and do some stuff I probably shouldn't do, but that's just me liking to push buttons. But
again, that's authentic too.
Yeah.
Authentic isn't never failing.
Yeah.
Authentic is being willing to say, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Authentic
sometimes means I look at you and say, I effed up.
Yeah.
Or
it's not perfect.
It ain't perfect. Or I really screwed up.
Yeah.
Not only is it perfect-ish, it's just it's not, it's
Yeah.
just
Sometimes it's bullish.
yeah, bullish. Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and through that, there's a level of authenticity.
Yeah.
There's a level of vulnerability and transparency. I think we can be transparent around things in the business. Vulnerability is a revealing of one's self, the the soul,
Yeah.
right? It's the good stuff, the bad stuff, and the ugly stuff,
Yeah.
which we all have that, right? And we want to believe that we can bring all the good stuff to work. But authentic connection means that I also understand that I'm connected with a human being. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm connected with a flawed individual who has their own set of realities that, to your point earlier when we first started talking about this, we all know what people are going through, all of those things. But when I have an authentic connection with you, I can go through the good, bad, and ugly with you and will do so,
Right.
because of that connection. If we didn't have that authentic connection, then it would be a lot harder for you to trust that we can go through this good, bad, and ugly together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times leaders within business feel isolated because they're trying to build trust with their teams, but their teams aren't trusting them, and they don't know where to start. They don't know how to begin doing this. And so much of our life is, if we look back over our life, the leaders that have had the most profound impact in our lives are those that authentically connected with us.
Yeah.
They may not have been the most skilled person that we've ever met. They may not have made all the best decisions in life. They could have screwed everything up at some point.
Yeah.
But somehow they showed up for you in a way that was authentic,
Yeah.
was connected on a different level. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was a deep, like the Brene Brown, where you see, where you feel seen and heard and valued as a person.
Yeah.
Not just another cog in a wheel that's going through the motions, you know? And I think it's really important as leaders that we practice active listening, that we're present with people, that we utilize empathy in our lives and recognize, like, what do we want when we were a team member? What do we want as a leader?
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, we want connection.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to be disconnected from everybody at work. Nobody's going to work saying, man, I can't wait for a culture where everybody's disconnected and criticizing each other behind each other's backs and talking about each other, and leadership is micromanaging everyone. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. So to your point, whatever we want more of, we have to work that into our life. And I said this to the team at Teradata last week, as a leader, what I hope to see, I must first be. So if
lead by example.
Well, yeah. And if I want, and if I were to say that in this context, if I want to build a culture of trust, if I want to see that, I must first be trustworthy.
Yeah.
So it starts with me.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't start with a program. It doesn't start with bringing a consultant in. It doesn't start with it starts with leaders taking accountability.
Yeah.
For themselves.
Yeah.
It takes leaders clearly communicating change. It takes leaders authentically connecting with people.
Yeah.
From out of that comes a culture of trust.
Yeah.
It's not a program.
That's good. That's good. Lead by example, or live by example.
If you're not living it, you're not leading it.
Live by example. So having accountability starts with the top. It starts with you.
Yeah, you can't lead what you don't first live.
You gotta embody that. And so having that accountability, leaders must exemplify those behaviors, right? And the values that we expect.
Yeah.
It goes back to inspecting what you expect, from the employees. Like if you're expecting employees to do something, inspect it.
Yeah.
And did you give them the resources, the practices, the strategies, the teachings, the development that you're expecting? Because not everybody comes in ready to roll the way you want to roll, right? So you got to be able to demonstrate those accountabilities in your own actions and in your own decisions, right? Not just in the actions, but also in your decisions. to be able to do that and hold yourself to that same standard, I think is the thing that lives in both, right? So not just lead by example, let's live by example. Let's embody and foster that ourselves, because whatever's in you eventually is going to come out of you. Like the realness is going to come, right? You can only fake it till you make it so long, and it's going to be that you're going to fake it till you make it. And what the make it part is your reality. Like you're going to fake it until you make it. And if you can't make it, this is what they're going to get.
Yeah.
And so living that is truly the important part of that. By leading by example and living by example. I'm going to start saying that instead of leading, I'm just going to say live by example. You'll inspire others to embrace that accountability, to embrace that functioning communication, right? That you're not just overly communicating. You want to be clear about your communication and making sure that you're creating that culture that you desire, that everybody takes responsibility for their contributions and expectations within the organization's success for what you truly want to establish within the workplace.
I think we've said it all, man.
Yeah.
I love this idea that you're not leading it unless you're living it.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, at the end of the day, if we're wanting to build a culture of trust and doing so while we're navigating that workplace during times of change, this is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Those three are you just have to have it. You just have to. Yeah. There's no way around it.
And remember, it's not overnight, man. It's a process. And you got to be able to trust that process.
Trust the process.
Yeah. Because you never know. Like people want that shake and bake stuff, man. I want the real seasoning. I want the real take time to.
You don't want the easy bake oven?
No, I don't want no stuffing, man. I want some dressing. I want your time. I don't want some out of the box, throw this stuff together. I want you to put some stuff in
soul food.
Put some soul into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bring your soul.
Yeah.
Bring your soul to work.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, appreciate everybody out there watching, everybody's commenting. Sorry, with the new look, we haven't been able to really engage with the crowd live, but we want to shout out everybody that's listening to us and watching us. We see your comments rolling. I try to pull them up and look at them here and there. So we appreciate everybody, all our lifetime listeners. Shout out to Philippi over in Ghana that's with us today. Shout out to Alex that's been watching on Facebook. So we want to shout out just a couple of people. I know there's more. We're not trying to say there's better, but I want to shout out everybody, especially with some of the technical issues we had today. We appreciate y'all sticking with us through that, listening to us. You can't see us, and maybe that's a good thing you can't see us. We're not maybe best for camera. I don't know.
Got a face for radio.
You look good, man.
Got a face for radio.
We either look good or we're making good money. I don't know. And I ain't making good money to be in a relationship this long, you know. So, but we appreciate everybody for sure for watching us. LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Until next time, my friend Ryan McCarty, have a good week, my brother.
You too. And we'll see you all back next week on Champion Your
Culture.
Thank you for tuning in to Champion Your Culture. We hope today's episode has sparked new ideas and inspiration for your journey in leadership and cultural development.
Building a culture good is a collective effort. If you found value in conversations today, please subscribe to our podcast. Follow us on your favorite platform and share this episode with your friends and colleagues.
Your support helps us reach more people and spread the message of impactful leadership and positive cultural change. Don't forget to visit cultureofgood.com to explore how you can become a certified culture champion.
Every week, we're here to bring you insights and strategies that matter. So join us again for more empowering discussions. Let's continue to champion a culture of purpose and passion together.
Until next time, keep leading with heart and let's make a positive difference in the world. And we'll see you next week on Champion Your Culture.